Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for November 8th, 2011. Sorry for pounding so hard. Roberta, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Bennett.
Here.
Supervisor Zaragoza.
Here.
Supervisor Long.
Here.
Supervisor Foy.
Here.
Supervisor Parks.
Here. And this morning we have a really special individual here to talk about our moment of inspiration. The individual is John Warden, and his organization is Ride to Recovery. And I think it's really appropriate, too, with this being Veterans Day week, if you will. John is founder of the nonprofit Ride to Recovery program. It incorporates cycling as part of the physical and mental rehabilitation of veterans. The goal of Ride to Recovery is to provide an experience that will challenge each individual physically, emotionally, and mentally. I know the first ride took 15 riders from D.C. to the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR event in Charlotte, North Carolina. Since the first ride in 2008, more than 3,200 injured veterans have participated in a multi-day cycling challenge. John's a former professional cyclist, not only raced for and managed Mercury Pro Cycling Team, the most dominant team of its era, winning 7 straight North American Team of the Year honors, but participated in 3 U.S. Olympic trials. Pretty impressive. Won a bronze medal in 1989 in the U.S. National Championships. We're delighted to have you here with us. If you'd like to come up to the microphone, tell us about your program. I think it's really special and quite an inspiration.
Thank you, ma'am. The Ride to Recovery is based in California. We have with us today 2 of our staff that are from Ventura. They live in Ventura. Each year we do a ride from San Francisco to LA that stops on the last night in Ventura. So we're very familiar and we like the city and county of Ventura. Ventura is also home to 2 Navy bases, Point Mugu and Naval Station Ventura County. We work with wounded warriors of all kinds, whether they have brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, missing limbs, arms, legs, above the knee, below the knee, burns, PTSD, whatever their situation is, we get them back in the game of life. And we create opportunities for them to participate in our program, and by building custom bikes to suit their injuries, it gives them an opportunity to do something that everyone did since they were a kid, ride a bike. It also allows them to be able to ride together. So you could take a blind double amputee, a bilateral amputee, you can take a brain injury, a spinal cord injury, a mental illness, put them all together, roll them down the road, and change their life. We have with us today one of our wounded warriors from the United States Marine Corps. He's a classic example of taking an opportunity and taking it and run with it. John Copsey came to our program 2 years ago with a brain injury, suffered in training as the United States Marine at Camp Pendleton. When he joined us, he couldn't ride a straight line or stay upright on a regular bike. But this past summer, he finished 6th in the World Paralympic Championships representing the United States of America. So this week is Veterans Day, and it's important that we recognize and salute the service of those that have served our country, that provide the freedom that we all enjoy. And as supervisors, you guys have an opportunity every day to affect the lives of the people that live in the county of Ventura. And hopefully you guys will take those opportunities to do the best you can so that the quality of life for your constituents is as good as the quality of life of my constituents.
I know several engineer cyclists. If people want to help your organization, is there a way they can get in touch with you? And also if people want to participate in the rides?
Yeah, we have a ride. We have some one-day rides that are in the Ventura area. We work with the Cool Breeze Century, which is in the spring. We also work with, we have our own ride. We have a website, ride2recovery.com. If you're an engineer and you can create a power-assisted lightweight drive wheel, rear wheel for a road bike or a front wheel for a hand cycle, we're in need of that very desperately.
Great.
And we encourage the general public to participate because it's important for them to interact with the guys that have been wounded from Iraq and Afghanistan especially, and see that there is hope and there is life, and that they feel good about what they did.
Excellent. I'll send a couple your way.
All right, that would be great.
Madam Chair, thank you. John, thank you so much for helping our wounded warriors. You know, it's important that we recognize them and for their patriotism and their bravery and to helping our nation. And thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And really not only emphasizing physical recovery, but also the mental recovery and how that can do it, you know, being able to participate and in some cases compete. So it's
Yeah, I think there's three phases. It's the mental, it's the physical, and it's the emotional. And we don't work just with the healing heroes themselves, but we also work with their families, their wives, their kids. They come out and participate with them. And in a lot of cases, it brings the family back together, because when you're injured and you're in a hospital, there's a lot of isolation and a lot of sort of the bad train. And so we try to put them on the good train.
excellent. And congratulations to you, too, being a bronze medalist in the Olympics.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Thank you.
I was much younger.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, too, how tall you are, because you often see cyclists that are pretty slight and short.
Little.
So congratulations to
Thank you.
you, and thank you so much for the work that you do.
And thank you for having me today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
And with that, Supervisor Foy, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again for coming. Bye-bye. At this time, then, we'll go ahead and look at a motion to adopt our minutes of the October 18th, 2011 board meeting. We have a motion from Supervisor Zaragoza, a second from Supervisor Foy, and then if we could all please vote. Now we can go ahead. That's approved unanimously to our next agenda item, which is our agenda review, and I'll ask our county CEO to take us on this one.
Thank you, Chair Parks. Would request that your board pull item 11 from the consent agenda for further discussion. Other than that, no other changes.
Okay. And do other supervisors have any proposed changes to the agenda? Not seeing any. We have a motion to accept the agenda with the pulling for discussion item 11. Approved by motion by Supervisor Long, second from Supervisor Zaragoza. We could vote. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda items. This would be 10 through 15, sans 11. So we'll go ahead and do 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We have a motion. Supervisor Foy, and second by Supervisor Long. And if we could vote, this would be for those consent agenda items without 11. And seeing that approved unanimously, we'll go to item 11. And we'll have Dr. Gonzalez doing this one. Is that correct?
Yes, I'd like to ask Dr. Gonzalez to come down and discuss for your board. There's a number of contracts in this board letter, but in particular the contract with the Greeley Company. And Dr. Gonzalez will expand on the quality assurance work and the survey work that they're doing for us at the hospital. So.
Good morning, Chair Parks, board members, Mr. Powers. This morning we seek approval from the board to enter into a contract with the Greeley Company to assist us in quality assurance and performance improvement work, and also to meet various healthcare standards and oversight requirements. The Greeley Company is a nationally recognized organization that specializes in consulting, training, and education of healthcare professionals, and in particular working through accreditation issues with healthcare organizations. In May of this year, as you recall, our system underwent a successful Joint Commission survey, and we received 3 years of accreditation through that survey. The CMS, or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, do random validation surveys on 5% of hospitals that have passed through the Joint Commission accreditation process. We were selected for one of those validation surveys, and 45 days after the Joint Commission survey, we were visited by the California Department of Public Health, who is the representative for the federal CMS program in performing the validation surveys. The CMS survey was very rigorous and thorough, and we were found to be out of compliance with several conditions of participation. During the visit, the use of IV insulin, we have a protocol, the IV insulin protocol, was found to be out of compliance. And although there was no patient harm, they did identify this as a potential risk and identified it as an immediate jeopardy event. We immediately withdrew the insulin protocol, and they in turn said that the immediate jeopardy was abated, that we had addressed it. We've taken these survey findings very seriously and have spent many hours addressing them. We've submitted our plan of correction to CMS and await a resurvey within the next week or two. We ask the board's approval to continue to work with the Greeley Company to improve our policies, procedure, and ensure the very best in care at our institution. And so with that, I would like to ask you to approve the contract.
And do we feel confident that we have everything repaired and we're ready for the re-review?
Yes.
So
Yeah, we've worked countless hours utilizing consultants as well as our own staff doing an amazing amount of work to address the concerns that they expressed.
Okay. So we feel like we've got everything solved.
Yep.
Supervisor Long.
Just, we take these surveys very seriously, and the teams just come together and they work diligently in preparation for them, which is frankly year-round preparation. But also when they come into the hospital, whether it's joint accreditation or certainly with CMS, and then the follow-up on it is one, we do get to look at, say, well, could we improve this particular protocol or practice? And so we look at it as a learning opportunity also, and then we move to implement that as quickly as possible. And I think in this particular case, we clearly did that. It's, sometimes I think in some cases you'll have reviews like this where it's their job to find something, and it isn't that they just create something, but they do look to behind the doors and under the sheets, and they look very thoroughly, and it's I think we do a tremendous good job with them. We're very open with them. Nobody tries to hide anything, so I take it as a learning opportunity, and I know it's an extra duty for staff, but something we're very proud of our operation. It needs to stand up under the spotlight. So I think the proposal, or the recommendation before us is a solid one to continue always to be looking at our the quality of service we deliver and the practices and the protocols. So I certainly support the recommended action and appreciate that you pulled this off so we could hear from Dr. Bob on the, again, the transparency of everything we do at the hospital.
Thank you. Supervisor Garcia, did you want to comment?
Overall, I hear nothing but good comments on your work, BCMC, and I know we're talking about this particular review and so forth, but I just want to share with you that every day, or when I travel, or when I go to different meetings and so forth, I get all these good comments and the good service and excellent work that you do. So I think that needs to be said too.
Appreciate that.
Mr. CEO.
Just lastly, no system is perfect, and we have a real culture of continuous improvement and safety in the hospital where when problems are identified, they're addressed head-on and resolved, and that's what's happened here. And the staff, as you mentioned, Supervisor Long, has worked around the clock. They take a lot of pride in the quality of care that they provide, and it really shows in the work they've done in response to this survey. So just for that, and Dr. Gonzalez, your perception of the quality of care in the system?
Well, I think the quality of care is good. I think we've, received the survey. We've addressed the issues. We did that in a very forthright, proactive way, taking it very seriously. And I think I can stand here today, just as I've stood here before, and say that the quality of care at our institution is good. This will make us better, and we're about continuous quality improvement, so we'll continue to build on this. And actually using the Greeley Group as consultants has been very helpful to us, and so I would appreciate your approval.
And I'm glad that there was the review. I'm glad that we were able to be proactive, respond to it, and I anticipate you'll come back with us on the outcome of the next review here.
Yeah.
Thank you. If we could all please vote. We do have a motion from Supervisor Long and a second from Supervisor Foy. And that is approved unanimously, as
Thank
well
you.
as the other contracts on that list. And that concludes our consent agenda items.
Thank you.
And right now we'll go on to our regular agenda. And the first item there is item 23. This is with our health care agency, our public health department, regarding an MOU with Oxnard School District. And I'll stop right there so I don't take all of your report away.
Good morning, Chair Parks, members of the board, Mr. Powers. My name is Megan Steffi, and I'm the Director of Public Health Nursing and Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health. The item before you is a request for approval and authorization for Public Health to enter into an agreement with Oxnard School District for our public health nurses to provide mother-daughter workshops. The workshop's primary focus is to foster communication between mothers and their daughters regarding sensitive adolescent health and development issues. And this service is inclusive of our services provided in our approved maternal child adolescent health budget, and no further costs will be incurred. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Supervisor Foy has a question.
Okay.
Why are we getting involved in this? I mean, isn't this a parent's deal to be involved with their child during this? What are we doing here?
Well, how this began was we were looking at the data in our county regarding teen pregnancy rates. And our teen pregnancy rates have increased over the past couple of years, primarily in the Hispanic population. So Santa Barbara has carried on some research regarding providing interventions to teens and their parents with the hope of reducing the teen pregnancy rates. And what they found in research is that the communication between mothers and daughters is not happening. And that's one of the reasons why teens get into high-risk behaviors, and that is because there's not that relationship and that communication. So what we're doing is we're helping to provide a safe place for that communication and just encouraging that.
So we have some evidence that it's worked?
Yes.
Or it's helped?
Yes, and it is voluntary as well. So it's not something that's forced on,
Right.
the adolescent and their parent.
Are these also probably some of the mothers who got themselves in the same situations earlier? Is
Yeah,
that what this is?
absolutely.
So it's a historical pattern we're trying to break?
Yes, generational,
Yeah.
pattern. And also, there's education that's lacking on the parents' behalf. And so this also is an opportunity to provide them the education that's needed, as well as the adolescents.
I'm just curious where it's
Yeah,
come from.
no
Thank
problem.
you.
If I could,
Yes, two more.
we spent some time on this a number of years ago, and a couple things I think are worth pointing out. This is the best point of intervention. You talk about all of the challenges we have with foster children and everything else. If we can get to these teenagers and get a different mindset and a different culture going, you solve an awful lot of problems, one. And two, there really is sort of a subculture that has this, and trying to break that subculture requires multi-generations to have the conversation, to have the mother have the conversation with the daughter about why it does not work, et cetera. So I think this is a great investment. It's always the proof is in the pudding in terms of the details, in terms of what you do. But the concept is one that is good for society overall, and I think an appropriate role for us to play from the standpoint of prevention of many other problems that we would have if we didn't do this.
Supervisor Zaragoza?
I support this. I think it's great because, as you mentioned, educating the parents is very important, especially the mothers, because it's a cultural thing, and it goes from generation to generation. And I believe once the mothers start talking to the daughters and so forth, and they have that interaction and that trust, it really has helped tremendously. In fact, last week, Lourdes, one of my assistants went and attended a domestic violence between the husband or the husband taking advantage of the wives or spouses. It's another cultural thing, and this is kind of part of that whole circle of cultural education that we have to share with the parents and the mothers, and so. But I think it's a good program. I think we're going in the right direction. Well, thank you.
Supervisor Long?
Just thank you. Good job walking through that. I think the keys of it being voluntary and that it's approaching it as an educational opportunity and a relationship between the mother and the daughter is invaluable to have the school and public health working together on it. So I certainly support it. Thank you.
There was another program that had to be cut because there wasn't funding that I heard was incredibly successful, and that was dealing with the sisters, the younger sisters of the pregnant teens.
Sibling program.
And I'm wondering, this sounds like there's funding for this. That same kind of funding could be used for that other successful program, and I'm wondering if there's a plan to include that.
We currently do have services, not specific to that, but definitely when we come across, siblings that are pregnant, our public health nurses will work with them. This effort is really a real upstream effort in that we're trying to get the teens before they become pregnant. What we're finding is in our county we actually have a couple 13-year-olds that are pregnant. And so we're trying to target, 12, 13-year-olds and, provide that intervention to keep them from hopefully encountering that.
And do you think you can get back to me on the potential for beginning that program again? I know
The sibling
like
program?
the Women's Commission was talking about, they wanted to do it, but we have done it, we've worked on it, we found it to be very successful. The funds were cut from it, so if we have the potential, the funding for that, I would think it would be very worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And with that, we do already have a motion, Supervisor Zaragoza, and second from Supervisor Long, if we could vote. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
And that is unanimously approved.
Thanks.
And the next item on our agenda is item 24, and this is Supervisor Long's item.
Yes. Thank you. This is an opening on the Community Action Venture County, which the board knows is that independent commission that we do make appointments to that basically deals with the low-income families in our community and providing them assistance for utilities and a variety of other things. And this appointment requires it be an elected official who has worked with or is in a low-income community. Patty Ham serves on the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, but she works in Newberry Park with a low-income program. And so she came to me, was very interested in this and attended meetings of the commission, and I think she'll serve us well. So that's my recommendation, to appoint her to that Community Action Venture County.
Thank you. A motion from Supervisor Long, second from Supervisor Zaragoza. And I understand they also still have an opening for someone of low income as a representative. So that's
Yes,
something
they
that
do.
we need to be focused on and let the community know that that position is open. And like you said, they do great work and they have funding. So we do have a motion, and hopefully everybody has voted, but no, someone has not. Now we have, and it's unanimous. And with that concludes the regular part of our agenda. We also have a correspondence agenda, if we could have a motion to approve that. Yes, we won't forget board comments. Thank you. We have a motion from Supervisor Foy, second Supervisor Long, and if one of those supervisors who keeps forgetting to vote would please vote.
I did. I said instead of voting. We'll do it again.
There's still one more.
There's still one more, it's not me.
Supervisor. Thank you. Thank you. That passes unanimously, finally. We also, I understand we have no public comment cards, so we'll go ahead and go to our board comments and start with Supervisor Foy.
Thank you. I do want to adjourn in memory of the people on this list, make a couple comments. There was a young lady, Marissa Festerling of Moore Park. She returned from the Pan Am Games in Guadalajara, where she won an individual bronze medal for dressage with her horse Frankie. So it's good. Got some good stuff going on. There was an interesting report that came out from the the U.S. Chamber Institute of Legal Reform. We had talked about tort reform here before, and what it talked about between cost and employment. They found that when tort goes down, the cost of tort goes down. They also found employment goes up. So as I think we all understand, if it costs more for a business to do business, then it's more expensive, and it's hard to create jobs. But talking about jobs, there's a great report here in the New York Times. It talks about more, 3.35 million.
Could you repeat your previous statistic? I missed that.
What it was saying is in the tort reform.
Yeah.
What it's saying when tort costs go down, employment goes up.
Okay, thank you.
As again, because it's cheaper for businesses, they can employ more people, and it doesn't cost them less to do business. But as I was saying, we have the most job postings in the last 3 years. This month, it came out 3.35 million job openings right now. So it's some good news out there, and hopefully that there's a lot more people looking for people to work and an opportunity, and that's even 7% more than in August. So we just keep hoping the economy finds its legs and we get moving forward. So I think it's good for all of us. Mike.
Thank you. Supervisor Long?
Yes, thank you. Well, before I forget, today's election day in Ventura. For all of you who live in the fine city metropolis of Ventura, to get out and vote. I don't live here, but I have staff who do, and yes, they did. Yeah. Also, I have a list to adjourn in memory of folks from the 3rd District. I'll submit to the clerk. And I'd also like to let the board know, I'm sure you received information from the Regional Energy Alliance that this Wednesday, the 9th, there's going to be an Energy Upgrade Community Forum. It's going to be held in Camarillo, at the Camarillo Ranch House, and it's going to have an exhibitor showcase, and it's going to be focused on energy projects, on learning how to get low-cost financing for projects for your home, to meet contractors and folks who look at energy upgrades, and it includes Energy Upgrade of California and our VCREA, and would welcome anyone from the public and otherwise to attend. Also, I'd like to just remind the board again, if you are up to it and you wish to do a trivia challenge hosted by the Ventura Club of Ventura South. It is November 16th, which would be next Wednesday. It's at the Wedgwood Banquet Center at 6 o'clock. They have 3-person teams, and it benefits our Ventura County Library READ program for adult literacy. And that's the trivia challenge if you're interested in sponsoring a team. I had the opportunity this week to participate in a couple of quick things I'll just call out. One is the First Five of Ventura County sponsored a World Book Fest at the Camarillo Library, and it really is to target families to bring their very youngest children and talk about great books to read for your children, and had a pretty good attendance. I was happy to be there to kick it off, and I always love picking up the little books and seeing the little kids and the playthings they do with children too, and parents to get them to read to their children. So all good stuff. And I also attended at Cal Lutheran a panel that was put together by Cal Lutheran and the Graduate Program of Public Policy and Administration, the Department of Criminal Justice, and it had Sheriff Dean, Steve Lipson from our Public Defender's Office, Mark Varela of Probation, and Michael Schwartz from the DA's office talking about AB 109. Lots of students attended, which was the focus, I'm sure, but I think wherever this panel can go in our county, whenever they can, and I know it does take time to do so, it's invaluable for the public information piece of what AB 109 is bringing to our county. And I thought they did an excellent job. There were some good questions from the students, and Supervisor Parks was there too. It was, we seem to kind of be in the middle of it, but it's good to hear again from the leadership team who's working the issues, what progress they feel they're making and the challenges ahead. And then lastly, I was very pleased to be able to attend the Adult Abuse Prevention Council. It's a Ventura County council that serves elders and dependent adults. They had their 4th annual gala Shooting for the Stars event at the Country Club in Camarillo last Saturday night. And in that, they honored our very own Adult Protective Services Rapid Response Expert Team. And so it was very good. Mr. Zimmerman was there, and Linda Henderson, and some of the Rapid Response Team. And the council, and not only just honoring them, which was great for them to talk about the value that this team has brought to our county and dealing with adult abuse and prevention measures, but they also, as a council, committed that over the next what they've added to their mission is to help raise funds for APS, and funds to go to when they have a rapid response and they find perhaps a senior, an elder who is in dire need of food or clothing or resources, that this council is now committed to helping to do that. So in addition to looking at the public policy challenges for adult abuse and prevention, they're going to help to raise some funds to support the work of APS. So it was very appreciated, excellent opportunity to again thank a great group of people who do extraordinary work in our county for probably what is a growing population, and that's our elders who are facing tough times. So I was happy to be there to represent the board and presented them with a proclamation. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Zaragoza?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'd like to adjourn in memory of this folks on this list, and I'd like to call out Alfred Rascon, 93-year-old, that passed away the other day. He's survived by his wife, Andrea Rascon. And with Veterans Day this week, and it's very appropriate that we honor him, he holds or held the nation's highest award for valor, the Medal of Honor. And he was also a presidential appointee to George Bush, our president. So we'd like to close in his memory today. And also like to report that Lourdes, our staff member, went on an AWA water tour of the county districts and water mutuals, and was very impressed, how the water comes into Ventura County and from the Delta and from the different entities such as United and Callegas and Met and so forth, and really an eye-opener for her to see how important the water issues are now and in the future. In addition, also I attended yesterday the Homeowners Matters. Supervisor Long and I attended over at the Board of Realtors. The home ownership, this bus had traveled all the way from D.C. and it's going to end up in Anaheim. And the home ownership matters, and it says to the people, to the community, and to America. And studies have shown that ownership of homes has significant positive impact on net worth, on educational achievements, and civic participation, health, and overall quality of life. It's important that we continue that American dream, and it's really great. This bus was just outstanding. It traveled all the way from very, very cozy. I went into it, looked at it, and they had TVs in there and the whole, quality of life. Big buses. And it was great to be there. Tonight I'm going to be attending a neighborhood meeting over in Oxnard at the Villa Marina Neighborhood Council. And that's to share some of the what we do and some of the services that we provide for the county. I've attended numerous other neighborhood councils in Oxnard, and I'm just finding out how people don't realize all the services that we provide here for the county, going from BCMC to the jails to different supports that we give the county. So I'll be there tonight. And then also tomorrow I'll be attending the annual El Rio School District Inspirational Student Award Program. I'll be attending and giving out awards to the very inspirational students, 4.0 students, who have gone out of their way to do positive things for their community. This is really outstanding students. And also this Friday, and I hope it's not raining, I'll be attending, I'll be making a presentation at the El Rio Lions Club there in El Rio on Veterans Day, and also participating in the Oxnard Veterans Memorial at Plaza Park in Oxnard. So we're going to have a busy week. Thank you.
Supervisor Zaragoza. Supervisor Bennett.
Thank you very much, and we're all busy. You can see there's a lot going on. It's a busy time of year. The thing that's most important, and I want to get on everybody's radar screen in county government and the Board of Supervisors, is that this Friday, Veterans Day, will be the first, what we hope to have as an annual Foster Day, Career Exploration Day. And so we have foster youth that, if you'll remember, we talked in the early summer about setting aside a day when foster youth didn't have to miss school because it's Veterans Day and they're off and we're working, and let them come and job shadow. And we have foster youth job shadowing in animal services as an animal control officer, district attorney's office, criminal prosecution and crime assistance programs, the fire district and mapping in the fire district program, library services, probation department, RAIN transitional living, children's events and activity planning, Ventura County Medical Center, a variety of careers at the medical center, the medical examiner's office, sheriff's departments, Camarillo Police, and Sheriff's Communications Center. I think that if we can get some good publicity on this year, we might have even more participants next year. And remember, these foster youth are giving up a day off on a 3-day weekend to do this. And I know trying to encourage the teenagers in our house to do these kind of things is not easy. So pleased that we've had some that step forward, and we hope that some more may step forward also this Friday. But I think this is just a classic and appropriate example of us being the extended family for our foster youth, so that they get out there and get connected with the adults here in county government. And my greatest hope is that these people won't just be a one-time visit, but suddenly this person could be a mentor that could enter into the lives of that particular foster youth and continue to advise them, at least from a career standpoint. They don't have enough of that in their life, and this would be really valuable. The next thing I'll make you aware of is that the Spark of Love program, this opportunity for county employees to purchase holiday gifts for abused, neglected, and needy children throughout Ventura County. The donated gifts will be distributed to the families through the Children's Services Auxiliary Holiday Toy Store. And there's going to be a lot of foster parents there, birth parents, guardians, relative caregivers, and needy families. We'll be picking up all the unwrapped gifts on Thursday, December 15th, so that's unwrapped gifts, at the Hall of Administration loading dock between 11 and 11:30. So people could be bringing these things in anytime between now and December 15th in the Government Center, and they'll be picked up, and then they just have to get them down to the loading dock between 11 and 11:30. If people want to make a financial contribution instead, they could contribute to the Children's Services Auxiliary and Patty Zoll, who works here, or you could send it to the Children's Services Auxiliary at Children and Family Services. The Brown mail number is 4030. That's a Brown mail number of 4030. And Children's Services is a nonprofit. But again, two things about our foster kids. So we have the career training program, but also the Spark of Love that's been a major source of gifts for foster kids during the holiday season, and we're coming up on that holiday season here pretty fast. With that, One City, One Meal, the City of Ventura is having their 4th annual Thanksgiving Day celebration. I've been able to attend all of them, and this time it's going to be at the fairgrounds. They're expanding it, and the idea is not to have a meal for the homeless. The idea is to have a meal that we all participate in, including the homeless. So the idea is to come and eat and sit down and get to know our neighbors and get to know some neighbors that maybe are less fortunate than the rest of us are. But you could create a team and host a table. Where you're the host at a table for the day. You could create a team to provide part of the meal. There'll be people provide turkey or mashed potatoes or green beans or stuffings for 20 people, and pans will be provided, and you'll fill the pan and have that come in. And if you want to volunteer, to Denise Nunnery, and I'm going to give the number 648-4977. 648-4977, or you can go to Denise Nunnery, and that's just like nunn, Nunnery, at usw.salvationarmy.org. And contributions can also be made to the Salvation Army. And I'm sure if you go to the Salvation Army site, you'd be able to find this. Or if you have any problems following all of this, if you just contact my office will be able to provide that information. Friday, I had the pleasure of speaking to the Ojai Rotary Club up at Soul Park in Ojai. A great group of people who contribute to the community. And then the Boys and Girls Club had their annual auction at Crown Point Plaza. Very well attended on Saturday night. So I got to split time between the Boys and Girls Club auction on Saturday night, and also the Long-Term Care Ombudsman had their 30th anniversary. So 30 years since B. Ellison got that program started, and so at the 30-year mark, that's one generation's work. And so the challenge for us is to find the next generation to step up and become trained, and they need more volunteers, and we've talked about that before here, but it has to be a steady mission of ours to try to find good quality people to step up, to become ombudsmen, to go into those care facilities and make sure that seniors are not neglected or abused in those care facilities. I'm really happy to say that one of the new generation that is out there, for those of you that remember, but Casey Lennon and my staff worked for me for 6 years, and had the good fortune of having her and her husband open up a restaurant and having some free time, and she's gone through the training. But we need about 60 more Casey Lennons to step forward, because the volunteers that they have are the part of that greatest generation, and we need some more people to be able to step forward in that. So it was a great celebration of the work being done by Sylvia and the people at the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. But our work is to try to get more volunteers for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Get more volunteers and more money. It was nice to see I also was able to attend that event with Supervisor Bennett on the long-term ombudsman, and Amgen has stepped up and provided them a $100,000 grant. And then at this evening's meeting, their gala event, they went ahead and gave another $50,000 match. So encouraging people to everything until the end of November, anything contributed, they will match up to another $50,000. How important that program is. That was nice to see. I was also able to attend another 30-year anniversary, which was of the Mountain Restoration Trust, and they have managed to get funding and preserve lands in the Santa Monica Mountains. And I went on a tour of the areas that they have purchased and helped purchase and preserve. They were also instrumental in purchasing King Gillette Ranch, which is, they consider the jewel of the Santa Monica Mountains in preservation. And then also, I too, as Supervisor Long pointed out, I able to attend the presentation on our prison realignment. And I was just so impressed. Our sheriff made a really good synopsis, as well as Mark Varela, of what the issues are, and bringing things to light that I hadn't really considered. And for example, our general fund ends up paying for, just recently, child sexual predators bypass surgery. So you just realize when we start taking some of these prisoners, and for longer periods of time, some are going to be getting cancer, and it's going to cost us more from a medical perspective also. A lot of things that they have to deal with from that realm, and it's good to see the great collaboration, because other counties are fighting it, and other counties don't have the kind of collaboration that we have, and as a result, I agree with the sheriff, the reduction in recidivism has got to be greater than what it is currently with the state prisons. So I'm glad that we are able to make a dent in that, but of course the concern will make sure that we have the funding to pay for it, and there are some of those kind of exterior expenses that you wouldn't normally think of. So that was something that of concern. Kind of jumping at the mic. Go.
You reminded me of that, and that was something I learned listening to them, and it was valuable. And that is that, in addition to this shift, we inherit the laws that govern prisoner rights, and part of that is that you can't give them generic medication.
That was the other thing, which is ridiculous.
They have to have market medication, brand names, which are very, in many cases, expensive. And that there were 2 bypass operations, heart bypass, that we pay directly out of general fund dollars. In that one case, it obviously was one that was distasteful to all of us to even hear, let alone the cost of that. So those are things that
and I mean, who doesn't use generic prescriptions, Yeah. So it is something that definitely needs change. I was also able to attend, I was invited to attend a documentary that's just being put together. Larry Jans and his 4 Friends Gallery had a presentation, and it started off with some university students that did a study abroad kind of program and learned about what's happening in Nepal, and then decided and roped these folks in to help do this film, and it was just very heartbreaking, very revealing, and pretty risky for them to even put this together. But it is documenting what they call the disappeared in Nepal during their civil war, basically between their Maoists and Royalists, and seeing what efforts that they have done, and the people who sometimes come out of the disappeared are the ones that have been captured by one of the factions, mostly I think the Royalists, and then they never see them again. And they have captured a lot of people had nothing to do with the war. So watching that documentary and seeing what we can do, that's how I came out of it, thinking what can we do to assist.
The Royalists doing the capturing, or
yes,
the Royalists being captured?
It particularly was what was most focused on here, and it seemed to be most dominant. And then also I was able to put together for this coming Wednesday a town hall in Somas. So that will be my opportunity to meet new members of my district that just came in, and I'll mention it at the next board meeting, but I do appreciate the staff that are willing to come out for that, and I'm sure it will be well attended. Today I will have the fortune of going out to the Jan's Mall. Jan's Marketplace is what we call it now, and Animal Service is looking at putting together what they call like a pop-up store for helping to get more puppies adopted. And what a great way, if you're going to go shopping for a puppy dog, that's the way to do it. Get a shelter animal instead of one that's breeded in one of the stores. So that will be a great location, and hopefully we'll get lots of adoptions for the coming holidays. And I know there's one other, okay. I also wanted to compliment Mike Powers, came and spoke to our Chamber of Commerce in Thousand Oaks and made a great presentation. And, again, just like the realignment, you just get so impressed with what a good job our county's doing, and particularly focusing on our managers and how we have been able to cut county costs because of our diligence. So a lot of appreciation for that. I see veterans coming in. Of course, today, this Friday is Veterans Day, so there are a lot of events throughout the county that we'll be able to talk about. Today is also Young Readers Day, and I think that maybe that's why the Camarillo had their book fest, and also it's a great opportunity to promote the importance of reading to our youth and read a book. I will spare you what this day is in history. I know you're dying to know, except that today all right. Today in 1966, Ronald Reagan was elected governor of California. You wanted to know that. And then in 1956, after turning down 18,000 names, the Ford Motor Company decided to name their new car the Edsel, after Henry Ford's son. Okay, so those are this day in history. And then also heard on the radio on the way over that Joe Frazier has died, and great boxing champion of the world. So I will add that to my list of adjournments and ask that we recognize also Anthony Martin Rizak from my district. And Anthony was also a veteran. He served 34 missions during the war as a tail gunner on a B-17 plane. The Plow Jockey was the name of the plane. And so I know that he is very much missed by his family, and we'll ask that the board close in honor of that. And that concludes my board comments. I know we have about 5 minutes before we go to our 9:30 time certain, so let's take a quick 5-minute break. We'll be back here at 9:30 to do our first 9:30 time certain. Board of Supervisors meeting of November 8, 2011, and we're going to go to our first 9:30 time certain, which is a presentation proclaiming November 2011 as Adoption and Permanency Month. And I'll turn it over to Supervisor Bennett.
Well, I think all of us can recognize the importance of getting children permanently hooked up with an adult for the rest of their lives. That's why once a year we stop and we focus on adoption and permanency and the great importance that it has here in Ventura County. And so I'd like to ask Judge Cody to come up, who is a judge primarily involved with this, Michael Planet, Court Executive Officer, and I don't know if you have others that are here with you. I'll introduce Robert Sherman, Assistant Court Executive Officer.
Judy
Okay,
Weber.
all right, and Cheryl Cancesar, Deputy Executive Officer, is here, and then Judy Weber. Judy, would you please stand up here? You're heavily involved in this. And then David Weinrich, HSA Manager. Is David here? All right. We have back there Barry Zimmerman representing HSA also, so thank you. I have a resolution. A lot of times these resolutions go on, but there are some very important I think information for us to review here in this resolution, so if you'll bear with me, I'd like to take just a minute to emphasize this part of the resolution. But this is a proclamation proclaiming November 2011 Adoption and Permanency Month in Ventura County. 500,000 incidents of child abuse and neglect are reported each year in California. Each year in California, 500,000 incidents of child abuse. More than 22,000 children enter foster care each year. We have to be ready for and able to handle 22,000 children each year. Almost 60,000 children in California are living apart from their families in child welfare supervised out-of-home care. Nearly 40% of the children in foster care in California have been away from their families in out-of-care home care for 2 or more years. 31,000 children leaving foster care in 2010. 51% of them were reunited with their families, and 20% were adopted. And we want to improve those statistics as we move forward. The Judicial Council of California is committed to working with the governor, the legislature, local courts, and communities to achieve permanency for children who've been abused or neglected. On recognizing that the courts and their partner agencies could promote safety, permanency, and well-being for California's children and families by locating and notifying the relatives of children placed in out-of-home care, the Judicial Council in 2009 sponsored Assembly Bill 938. The Superior Court will place a high priority now on adoptions and permanencies during the month of November and hold a special adoption ceremony on November 18th, which is one of the more joyous days over in the courts. And so now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors takes great pleasure in proclaiming November 2011 as Adoption and Permanency Month. And Judge, would you like to grace us with some of your sage insights from your time?
I don't know if I brought that with me today, but thank you very much for recognizing this month as the Adoption Month and Permanency, which sometimes don't mean the same thing, but the results are often the same. As you know, the goal is to try to reunify children with their families if we can. But if we can't, we try to find a permanent home for them, and adoption is always the first choice. And it helps when the leaders in our community recognize that. It gets the word out because we can always use more families that are willing to step in and assist with providing permanency for our kids. So thank you very much.
Again, thanks for being here, and Judge Cody said it all. I'd like to point out one piece of new news, relatively new news. After 6 years, Judge Cody is going to be leaving the dependency court. She spent her last 6 years in El Rio at our juvenile facility there as the dependency judge, and she'll be reassigned down here to Ventura to a civil calendar, but we really do appreciate everything that she's done in her role as the dependency judge for our county for the last 6 years. So thank you, Judge Cody. And I'll turn it over to
Yeah, hi, good morning, Judy Weber, Human Services Agency. Again, just thanking the board for recognizing this important aspect of our work. Oftentimes we hear not so good stories, and so when days like this come and we're able to celebrate the successes of kids finding permanent homes, we're sharing in your joy. I'm happy to report that this year we have finalized 78 adoptions in our department. We are always striving for more, and we hope to meet or exceed that in the coming year. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you Sandra Cherry, who is here today. She is an adoptive mother of Faith Marley. She adopted... Oh, Carrie, I'm sorry, the name here.
That was her other name.
That was her other name. I'm so sorry. And so she's going to say a few words with us.
Hi. I'll start at the beginning and I'll try to make this short. Back in 1980, I was a newlywed, and I was working in the church nursery, and there was a foster family bringing in kids, and I thought, you know what, someday when I have kids, and my youngest is 2, that's what I want to do. My heart just really burned for those kids. And my second child was 2 years, 2 months, I got my first placement. That was 84. I was a foster parent from 84 to 94, and during that time adopted 2 children, special needs kids. They are now 18 and 24. The 24-year-old will probably never leave our home. I don't think she'll be able to live on her own, but we're working toward it. And then my husband encouraged me after 17 years of not doing it to start again, because I just spent all my time on the computer doing nothing. So 2 years ago I got my license, playing farm and all that stuff. I got my license back 2 years ago and started again. I had 2 little boys, and then a year ago she was born on my way home from Hawaii, because I'm from there, and I was home for my reunion. And I got a call the next morning when I was totally tired. So I went and picked her up at the hospital. She was 2 days old. Mom went when she was 4 weeks into prototypes, and I was working with her on how to care for the child. This is number 6 out of the ones that she had. She doesn't have care of any of them at this point. So anyway, we kind of made a little bond, and we were, getting along really well. The first weekend she had an overnight. It was a 4 days, 4 nights, and I gave her my card just in case, she had any questions. She called me after one night and said, come get her. It was a weekend. I didn't have a social worker's approval, but I went down and picked up the baby. 2 weeks later, they were going to give her to her permanently, and she skipped out and just said, I'm not bonding, just put her up for adoption, and she left and went to a different state. So then, by then, Faith was 8 weeks old. A foster adopt family came to our house to look at her. They were going to try to move it easy and kind of get used to her and her to them. They left that night, and my husband said, I can't let her go. I said, what? Our youngest is 18. He goes, I can't let her go. He goes, I can't not wake up in the morning and see her smiling at me. I'm going, oh my goodness, here we go again. So I quickly called, and everybody in the county, Ruth was our adoptions worker, everybody was so supportive. At first I'm thinking, oh my goodness, my age. But I've got a lot of free time on my hands. I've got 2 adult children still living at home that help me a lot. I'm still fostering. But the county was wonderful. Back in the 80s it was wonderful, and now it was wonderful. The support was incredible. So it's been a wonderful experience. And Faith is now almost a year and a half old. And she's doing really well, exceeding expectations of the doctors because she's a meth baby. My 24-year-old is heroin and PCP. My 18-year-old is a crack baby, and then Faith is meth. So we all have different challenges, but as with children you give birth to, something comes up, you learn about it, treat it, go on, So you never know what to expect, but there are no guarantees, but she's a joy. So anyway, just wanted to share my story with you, and thank you very much.
Well, we know there are thousands more people in the county out there like you, and we appreciate you taking the time to share your story because it'll make it easier for those others to step forward. So thank you very much, and thank you to the professionals that work to make this happen. And we have this resolution, and we'd like to just get a quick photo shoot, and I think we can probably shoot these guys just by kind of having their faces not be in the picture. Oh, that's right. All right.
Madam Chair.
Great.
Madam Chair, I just want to share too that I'm sure that the Judy and the judge and Supervisor Bennett have been working also with the Hispanic community to increase the adoption and primacy for the children here in Ventura County. So I want to thank you for your good work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
All right. So let's.
I have to say, what a wonderful husband you have. Yeah, that's great. Takes two on that.
Is this in the way? You can hold dates.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where you're showing me. Because right now I feel like we're losing, but we're still keep holding
All right, thank you for that presentation, Supervisor Bennett. Now we have a really special opportunity to honor our veterans as we present a resolution proclaiming November 11th Veterans Day. And, oh my goodness, does someone have the resolution? I don't. However, okay, we do have it on our agenda, so I can read it from the agenda. How interesting is that? Never fail. We have the wording of it, and we'll get the actual big document here shortly, hopefully. Thank you. Whereas, I'll go ahead and read it. Whereas the Ventura County Veterans Services Office is a county organization that gives a voice to veterans, advocates on their behalf, and also honors their military service and supports veterans' families. And whereas the Ventura Services Office was established in 1937 by the Ventura County Board of Supervisors to provide assistance to veterans and their dependents in obtaining benefits from federal, state, and local agencies. And whereas Veterans Services Office staff members understand laws that have been passed by Congress in the interests of veterans and their dependents, and apply specialized knowledge that best suits the needs of every individual veteran. And whereas Veterans Services Office staff have assisted Ventura County veterans and their families in receiving over $3.8 million of earned federal benefits in the form of compensation and pension just in 2010. Again, that was $3.8 million in 2010, and awarded over $1.98 million in college fee waivers to students of disabled veterans from October 2010 to September 2011. I think a lot of veterans still don't know that they have that opportunity. And whereas on November 11, 2011, 11/11/11, Veterans Day is celebrated to commemorate the bravery and sacrifice of all men and women who have served our nation in uniform. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Ventura County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim November 11, 2011, Veterans Day, and takes great pleasure in honoring Ventura County Veterans Services Office and staff members for the valuable services they provide to the veterans of our community. And I know Mr. McManus is here, and John Jackson, and others in your department. Would you like to come forward and
Well, I'd just like to thank you, Supervisor Parks, and the entire board. Really what we do, though, is because of gentlemen and ladies that are out here in the audience, is basically veterans ourselves serving other veterans. We take a lot of pride in that and are honored when they come forward and allow us to assist them. We'd certainly like to encourage all of them to, if they have not yet contacted our office, to please do so. And if you know a veteran that hasn't, to contact us as well. But I would definitely like to recognize my staff, because they are the ones that make that happen. As you mentioned, John Jackson. John. And John is our senior claims officer. He's been doing this for 5 years and is very well known throughout the community, and we appreciate his efforts. James Rodriguez is one of our new claims officers. Lizette Arias is our case aide and kind of the glue that keeps us all in line. And Rachna Elanis is another one of our new claims officers.
Thank you. And I know that there are many different events that will be happening on Friday on Veterans Day, and I've got a list of them, so maybe I'll just briefly read them. In Moore Park at 8 a.m. on November 11th, the American Legion and Boy Scouts will be replacing weathered flags, and at 10 a.m. they have a ceremony at the Moore Park Veterans Memorial. And then in Oxnard, the Knights of Columbus, Council number 750, will host its annual Veterans Night Dinner at 6 p.m. on Tuesday at the group's meeting hall. And then the Veterans Commemorative Committee is also having its 17th annual Veterans Day celebration at Veterans Memorial in Plaza Park, with a keynote talk by Captain Bruce Neville of the Naval Facilities Expeditionary Logistics Center at the Naval Base, and a speech by a veteran, Steve Weber, at 11 a.m., and that's at 5th and C Streets. And CME, the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum's annual Veterans Day celebration on November 11th will include music at 10:30 and a program honoring all branches of the military at 11, with a keynote speaker by Eric Greitens, a Navy SEAL, founder of The Mission Continues and author of The Heart and the Fist. There's also a ceremony at Veterans Plaza in Rancho Tapo Community Park at 11. And then in Thousand Oaks, the city's Military Service Journal will honor residents and their immediate families by having an opening for signatures in that journal from 9 to 4 p.m. at the Schur Forum Theater. And in Ventura, Ivy Lawn Memorial Park's 19th annual ceremony will feature a keynote speech by Ventura County Star journalist Jeanette Yargui, who writes about local veterans, and music by the Pacific Coast Highlanders Pipe Band. And Moments with Abraham Lincoln, my favorite, performed by Don Ansell, and Color Guards display, and that's at 10:30 a.m. And that goes till noon. And then in Camarillo, the Veterans Day ceremony at Constitutional Park with speakers and flag ceremonies, of course, is free, and that starts at 11. And I have the resolution, so I'm going to come down there and present it to you, Supervisor.
Can I add another ceremony over in El Rio at 8 a.m. too? We're going to have the veteran ceremony at Jordan and Vineyard, and this is for the El Rio veterans, Nyland and Strickland too, so we're going to be there also. And Madam Chair, as you're walking down, I just want to thank all the veterans, because I have a lot of family veterans. My dad was Second World War, and we lost an uncle in the Korean War. I had a brother in Vietnam, my son in Desert Storm, and then a couple of nephews in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. So I really admire the veterans, and thank you so much for your service.
And thank you all so much for coming down. It was really neat to see also the presentation of a new flagpole, huge flagpole out there at the corner of Victoria and Telephone. And we have your staff, and we'll take a photo if we can, and with the great resolution, hold on to it.
And while they're taking that picture, I'd also like to express my appreciation to the vets that defended our right to actually be sitting up here and having people vote for us. And we now see that starting to sweep around quite a bit in the rest of the world. So to you vets that have defended our freedom, thank you very much.
This is item number 18, and this Supervisor Long is going to be doing this one.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It is my pleasure to be able to bring this forward on this day and to thank all of you for being present, our veterans, in honor and respect for your service, and to take an opportunity to thank one of our very own for excellent work in bringing forward a Ventura County Veterans World War II to Vietnam Images of America. And Jeanette Haringe. I got it right, didn't I? Yes. Close. Haringe. I'm sorry, Jeanette. But Jeanette has written a book, and it is our very own here in Ventura County that, again, talks about our veterans, tells their stories, lots of photographs, but really is very heartfelt and very passionate in the work that she's done over the years. And I'll say, if I might give a little bit background on the resolution that acknowledges Jeanette, as we celebrate Veterans Day this Friday, and this valor and sacrifice of all of our veterans, is a wonderful opportunity to have Jeanette here with us. She's a freelance journalist, and many of you have seen her articles in the Star over the years, where she has provided stories that have preserved the history of our Ventura County veterans, documenting those who have sacrificed everything in the name of freedom. And she is a native of Santa Paula, a fourth-generation Ventura County resident, graduated from Santa Paula High School in 1999 and went on to attend Ventura College before transferring to Cal Lutheran. Graduated from Cal Lutheran with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communication in 2003 and began work as a substitute teacher in Santa Paula. And then she took a position in the advertising department of the Ventura County Star. In 2005, Jeanette changed her profession to begin working as a media relations coordinator of Cal Lutheran University, went on to Northwestern University Medill School of Journalism to complete her master's degree. And while in graduate school, Jeanette worked as an intern for the NBC's Today Show in New York. That had to be exciting. And then in 2008 began work on the Today Show's associate producer and production assistant, both in New York and Burbank bureaus. On Memorial Day in 2001, Jeanette's first veteran profile was published in the Ventura County Star, and that began what has been a 10-year work of love, where she has, as a columnist, focused primarily on writing about our military veterans from Ventura County. And in the fall of 2010, began working as an adjunct lecturer at her alma mater, Cal Lutheran University, and then she published this book. She plans to publish the first 10 years of the newspaper column in book form for Memorial Day 2012. Aside from her career accomplishments, Jeanette has served as a public speaker and a volunteer with the Veterans Homes of California, many meals in Santa Paula, Library of Congress Veterans History Project with the Ronald Reagan Library, volunteer historian for the Institute on World War II and the Human Experience at Florida State University, volunteer historian for Santa Paula Historical Society and Art Society, Santa Paula Relay for Life, committee member, American Youth Soccer Organization assistant coach, and currently serves as committee chair for Dave and Juliet Dyke Tennis Courts Committee. She describes her work, writing stories and preserving the heroism of veterans, as the best way she knows how to pay tribute. And truly she does in this book. So for her dedication and passion, I thought it was fitting as we recognize Veterans Day today, and certainly in the many ways we'll recognize it on Friday, to ask Jeanette to come to the boardroom to take a moment to honor her for her work and to present her with a resolution acknowledging that work in honor and respect of all the veterans who've served from our county over the years. So Jeanette, if you would step forward, I'm going to bring the resolution down and my book that I would like you to sign.
What a great idea to put it in a book form, and it's been wonderful reading the articles in the Star. So.
Oh, thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to Supervisor Long and also to the board as a whole. When George Lopez told me that he and Mia, his wife Mia, brought this idea to the board, it meant a lot to me, and two thoughts came to my mind. The first was that it's amazing to have this kind of support, but the second really is I don't do any of what I do for any kind of recognition. I started doing it because I happen to love writing, and I happen to love the idea of preserving the history and the stories of local veterans. And I started with my hometown of Santa Paula, and it's branched out to Ventura County. And really what it boils down to today, though, it's amazing for me and overwhelming to have members of the Mercer Prieto 2043 VFW post from Santa Paula here, and also veterans and staff from the Veterans Home in Ventura, where I work part-time. They've become an extended family to me, and I just can't thank you all enough for everything you've done for me. So, thank you.
All right. And board members, these books are available at many places. I purchased mine at the Emporium in Camarillo.
I was going to ask that. What's the location again to buy the book?
Where's the...
To purchase a book?
Oh, they're all over Ventura County, but actually, on Veterans Day, I wanted to mention that Santa Paula is having their own Veterans Day ceremony, the VFW, which is here. They're going to be having their own Veterans Day ceremony. And then the Veterans Home is having a ceremony at 2 o'clock, but at 1 o'clock at the Veterans Home, I'm going to have some of the books available for sale, and then we have about 40 to 50 of the veterans that are in the book that will be there to sign the book themselves. So that starts at 1 o'clock on Friday.
And we have Martina, our veteran from Santa Paula, too.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. The Vietnam War section, I'm asking Jeanette to sign. Certainly that's one that's personal for me. And to also, Bill Barato is in the book. And so you'll recognize lots of our very, very important local veterans who we respect and
Recognize Paul Grosco, too, our
that's-
commander of our naval base.
I would just,
veteran here.
and in that regard, just take a moment to also thank the veterans here for their service and sacrifice, as well as the many county employees, or family members of county employees who are also veterans. Thank you for your service as well.
And why don't we, now you want us to...
And I know we just recently had some good news about the Coca-Cola company offering a couple hundred jobs for veterans, too. So it's nice to see.
And Madam Chair, we also have George and his son that are veterans. Thank you, George.
Okay.
Get in there.
There you go. There you go. Okay, right over here. I'll take 2. One at the count of 3.
George, look.
1, 2, 3. And one more, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for your service to our country. Our next item on our agenda is item number 19, and this is a presentation of a resolution recognizing GIS Day. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Foy.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity again to present this, and I know that we recognize GIS every year, and this GIS is, from Ventura County. I think Lori will tell us that this GIS plays such an important role in so many different divisions of our county and all the different things, from the sheriff, fire dispatch, the CEO's office, the Ag Commission, the assessor, elections, GSA, LAFCO, Public Works, RMA. I mean, every different area you guys are involved with, and I think it's a real opportunity for one agency that overlaps so many different agencies. But I thought that was really interesting is we're doing everything we can to find ways to save money and be productive. They also show an example of how they've saved over $174,000 in the first year of the use and support of the crime scene analysis. I thought that was a great thing, that we're trying to find every way to save every dollar we can to save jobs and provide service to the county, and this is, to the public in our county. So, Lori, why don't you come on up and give us a few words on this, and you brought your whole staff here. This is great.
Supervisor Foy, Chairman Parks, members of the board, Mr. Powers, thank you for your acknowledgement and your appreciation for the value of GIS. Geospatial data is the foundation for every decision support system. And GIS is one of several initiatives here at the County of Ventura that has made this county a center of government excellence. GIS Day is something that we do every year. It's an opportunity for departments who do use GIS to show what they do with it. Tomorrow we have just a few departments who are going to be showing the great work that they do and how GIS supports their business. And I hope that this will also be an opportunity for other departments and agencies to explore the possibilities. The keynote speaker at 9:15 tomorrow is Dr. Darren Riddell from the University of Southern California. He's going to share some phenomenal research that he has been doing with regard to urban sustainability. And what's so significant about this is that apparently by the year 2050, 70% of the world's population will be in an urban environment. And so urbanization is an important impact on our global economy as well as on our environment. He's going to show how he used GIS for planning purposes and also for sustaining an urban environment. So that's at 9:15. The theme this year is Got GIS? We do, and it really works. So I thank you for your support, and I'd like to introduce just a very small number of the movers and shakers for GIS here at the county, and they are from a couple of different departments. From the Surveyor Division of Public Works is Alex Matthews. Resource Management Agency, Jose Moreno. From IT Services, County GIS is David Hutchison, Mark Putnam, Eric Alger, Richard Pascal, and Michelle Dunham. Again, from the Resource Management Agency is Ramon Hernandez and Gloria Hannity. And a longtime supporter and user is from Public Works Agency, Karen Mendoza.
Well, thank you very much. It is something that when you read all the things that you do and how you're involved with, that the effect, and it's interesting what you got talking about tomorrow, coming in and talking about how planning through GIS and your ability to do that, that's great stuff. So why don't we all get a picture? Why don't we get everybody up here and take a picture?
Just to Lori and your team, your GIS team, congratulations, because this really is an example of the county innovating and being on the cutting edge. You can see it by how many other counties come to you to ask for your advice on what they should be doing. So congratulations.
Okay, I'll take two. First one at the count of three. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Thank you.
how far we've come too. I remember taking a college course 30 years ago on geoinfo processing. It's like doing it by each little cell and come quite far. And what an incredible tool. This really changes decision making because we have such. Just look at what we did with redistricting, how quickly they are able to determine what the population is, depending on where the boundaries are. Just incredible resource. Look forward to tomorrow's presentation. With that, I think that concludes our Board of Supervisors regular meeting, and right now all we have left is our closed session, so we'll go ahead and adjourn from closed session with no announcements. So that will conclude our Board of Supervisors meeting. We do have an 11 a.m. Air Pollution Control Board meeting.